What's up, Internet? Peter here from Mountain Ready. We're going to talk about first aid kits today, specifically which ones do you choose? Okay, so the biggest question on the website and social media is which one do I choose? There's so many different options, so many different brands. There's standard kits, pro kits, specialty kits. There's mods, modifications to kits. That's individual supplies and so on. So people just don't know what to choose. And there's a lot of different sizes, right? From very small to very large. So how do I choose? We've created a comparison grid on the website. It's a table now that will allow you to compare the contents across all of the first aid kits, even across brands. And it's been very helpful. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it from customers. It's helping people out. It's helping them choose and helping them determine which first aid kit they should buy based on the contents. Okay, so that's always been very hard to do, even on the vendor websites, right? If you go to My Medic or Uncharted or North American Rescue or any of the first aid kit vendors, the specific brand websites, it's very hard to compare, right? So we've done a good job of putting it all together and presenting it to the viewer, to the customer, to you guys. Okay, so like I said, a lot of positive feedback on that. So now, with that said, there's some additional information, maybe some initial information that you need to have before making a choice on a first aid kit. Okay, so first thing is, let's go over standard, pro, and specialty, okay? And then modifications, individual supplies. So a standard kit is your typical first aid kit, cuts, bumps, bruises, scrapes, those kind of things, okay? So you're gonna have bandages in there, gauze, wraps, those kind of things, okay? Basic standard first aid kit. Now, you want to level that up to a pro kit, which is, I recommend always get a pro because you never know what's going to happen, okay? So a pro kit will give you the ability to stitch up a wound, okay? Now, not sutures per se, but it gives some alternate equipment that allow you to stitch up, close up a wound if you have to do that, right? If you have an arterial bleed on your arms or your legs, your extremities, and you need to put a tourniquet on, they have tourniquets, okay? It's very important to have a tourniquet. If you have a puncture wound in your chest or in your back, and it's limiting your ability to breathe, if you have a sucking chest wound, there are chest seals there, okay? Entrance wound, exit wound, for instance. Let's say you're mountain biking, you fall off, you hit a stick, you get punctured, God forbid you get shot, you're gonna have an entrance wound, exit wound, you're gonna need a chest seal for that, okay? If you can't stop the bleeding, you have a really bad cut, it's not an arterial bleed, you can't stop the bleeding. Bleed stop, quick clot, hemostatic dressings, things that are going to clot your blood really quickly so that then you can treat it, right? So then you're going to pack the wound, you're going to wrap the wound with a pressure wrap, okay? So compressed gauze, pressure wraps, emergency pressure dressings, that kind of stuff. Those are also in there. Nasal airways, if you have a problem with breathing, those are in there as well. So that's pro, right? So those are traumatic injuries, and that's what's in a pro kit. Now, there are specialty kits that also have those in there. Some specialty kits are dedicated to that, okay? The trauma first aid kit is dedicated to that, okay? There's wound closure kits. So if you do want to do sutures, you're probably not going to do that in the field, but maybe back at base camp or wherever. There's suture kits, okay? And then there's individual supplies, okay? Cervical collars, tourniquets, anything that you would think is in a first aid kit, or things in addition to your first aid kit that you want to add to your first aid kit, which is what I do. I always add some additional items in there. All those items are available as well, okay? So that's the standard, that's the pro, that's the specialty at a very high level, okay? If you have questions, hit me up on the website, hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to answer those questions and help you determine which one is right for you. So now, size, okay? So first think about, is this first aid kit just for you, or are you gonna be treating other people with it, okay? You're going on a hike with a couple of people, you need a first aid kit that's gonna be able to attend to one or more injured people. Are you traveling in a car, right? Is this gonna be something for your vehicle, or is this gonna be something that you carry, okay? Are you going to MOLLE attach it to something existing like a backpack? Are you going to stick it in your backpack? Are you going to wear it like a backpack like this guy, right? So those are some additional questions that you need to answer and figure out before, you know, being able to choose a first aid kit. And you may need more than one, right? So I have one in each of my go bags. I have a first aid kit in all my cars. So there's also, you know, you're gonna probably want multiple first aid kits, but obviously start with one. Okay, so the next thing now is to choose a brand. If you're brand specific, then you already know which brand you want. But if you don't know, or if that's not really important to you, I'll tell you a little bit about each of them. So Uncharted Supply Company. So we have 3 different brands that we sell currently. Uncharted Supply, My Medic, and North American Rescue. Okay, so Uncharted Supply is a first aid kit / survival kit. Okay, so they cater to both first aid and survival. What I mean by survival is there's additional gear in those kits to maybe fix your gear, repair your gear. There's a multi-tool, there's a flashlight, there's storm-proof matches, right? So there's some additional survival stuff, not really first aid stuff, but survival stuff in some of these Uncharted first aid kits, okay? My Medic is dedicated to first aid, okay? You got the standard, the pro, the specialties in My Medic. So very robust first aid kits that also address the most traumatic of injuries, okay? And then you have North American Rescue, which are military grade, okay? So they're much more expensive. They're military grade. This pretty much the same gear that is in the My Medic Pros, the trauma specific gear, are in the North American Rescue. But North American Rescues they're geared towards military. So you're gonna have them in multiple patterns of camo, and they're gonna be much more tactical in nature. And they're going to look military because they're for the military, for the armed services. Okay, so I don't have any of those here. If you want a North American Rescue pack, let me know, and I'll help you choose one of those. Okay, because those are very specific as well. So I hope this information helped. There's a lot to think about when buying a first aid kit. But the first step is getting one, right? An individual first aid kit, something for yourself, something for your car. God forbid something happens, go with a pro. Make sure you have a tourniquet and all those other things I mentioned. If you don't have the money for a pro, if it's too expensive for you, if you're on a budget, get a standard and then add some additional items, right? You can add the separate items to a kit, okay? Granted, you have the space inside of it, okay? So if you get a really small one like the Sidekick here, there's not a lot of space in there, right? So if you want a tourniquet, you're gonna have to attach it to the outside of it, okay? So I hope that information helps. Hit me up on the website if you have questions, comments, and we'll see you soon.